everybody, it's Clay. Welcome to another League of Legends video. This time we are doing a why buy on Olaf, the Berserker. He is our favorite Viking. He got some pretty significant change / rework to his kit, I believe in patch 3.12, and then further adjusting in patch 3.13, which brings us to this game. So I must confess to you guys that I did not actually own Olaf until most recently in this patch 3.13. I decided to purchase him with the influence points I had accumulated and try him out with the hopes of adding a new top laner to my arsenal. So as we watch this laning phase against this Irelia, let's go ahead and talk about Olaf. So Olaf has been a champion who for much of Season 3 has pretty much sat in an unusable state. He has been nerfed to the ground. If you ever hear of anyone use the expression of Olafing a champion, they're referring to this applying a massive series of nerfs like what they did to Olaf. So basically, I believe my understanding is I actually didn't start playing League of Legends until the very beginning of Season 3, so I never actually saw Olaf in his heyday, but my understanding is I've actually watched like the Season 2 World Championships, at least in part, and you'll see like Stanley playing Olaf, and so I've seen some of his power, but my understanding was that Olaf was this champion who had, wow, that was some really bad last hitting right there, but doing some good trading nonetheless. Ooh, getting Aurelia on the ropes. Am I going to go ham? There's the Ghost and the Ignite, and can my axe? There's the last axe. There's First Blood, so a early kill on Aurelia, just going to help pick up that First Blood. Very nice. So, but anyways, my understanding was that Olaf was basically unstoppable. His axes were created like a perma-slow effect because you could just throw them, very close to your feet or where the target was running, and then you could permanently slow them because when you pick up your axe, it almost resets the cooldown. So you had an almost infinitely going slow there. He had true damage on his reckless swings, so that allowed him to do. It's hard to itemize against him because armor it doesn't really do anything. And then his ultimate gave him total immunity against crowd control effects, so you can't CC him either. So he basically turns into someone who's very tanky, who had perma-slow, who dealt high damage, and was totally immune to all crowd control effects. So it put him in a bit of a tough spot. So Riot decided to just nerf his numbers into the ground, and kind of leave him for a later date at which they were going to try and readdress him. So, and that date has come in patch 3.12. So we got into this current state. So, and then, like I said, 3.13 kind of tweaked up the numbers a little bit. So let's kind of address. I'm not going to go through the changes. If you want to go through the big time changes in 3.12, you may. I'm just going to go over his current numbers and where they're at, and kind of where I see him fitting. So let's go through his current kit in its current iteration. Berserker's Rage, I believe this was untouched in the changes. It gives him attack speed for missing health. So the lower of health he is, the lower or the more attack speed he gets. This basically makes Olaf a very strong duelist because if you get him to the point at which he is, obviously weak and about to die, that is actually the point at which his damage is the highest. So with Olaf, you kind of want to be willing to dive in there. This very much fits with his kind of theme as a berserker, that you kind of go headlong right into the fray, and even though you may be taking a lot of damage, you're still going to be very powerful. Wow, this is some bad last hitting. My apologies. But yeah, so it allows him to be very, very powerful even when he is weak. So a very nice steroid, and it fits well with his kit. I would say this is a good ability. And actually, if you think about it, 1%. So if he's at 1 health, that's like a 99% attack speed steroid, and I believe that like Tristana's E is generally viewed as like the biggest attack speed steroid in the game, and that's 90%. So this is has the potential to equivalent or even surpass that. So a very, very strong attack speed steroid. It is risky because at that point you have 1 HP, so I guess you could. I don't think anybody would argue that this is better than Tristana's passive, but it definitely works for Olaf. And if you're stacking HP, it makes this even better because, if you have 3,000 HP and you're at 50%, that's still 1,500. But if you have 2,000 HP and if you're 50%, that's 1,000. So the more HP you have, the better. So I actually kind of turned on that. I actually thought I could have gotten the kill onto that Yorick, but it looks like Aurelia decided she wanted to party as well. So not able to really do too much there. But anyways, that's his passive. I think it's a pretty strong part of his kit. Helps him to be a good duelist. So Undertow is his Q. This is his axe ability. It is a lined skill shot. He'll throw out his axe in a line. It has up to 1,000 range, but it can be thrown shorter than that. I believe 400 units is the current minimum. And then it will damage and slow all units that it travels through. And it also, the further the axe flies, the longer the slow lasts, which is interesting as well. I believe the duration is in between 1.5 and 2.5 seconds. So if you land a max range slow, or a max range axe, the slow will be of greater duration. So that's kind of a nice little bonus to his kit. Let's see here. And then also it has a mechanic where, I see Udyr's coming, wow, not Udyr. Hecarim's coming in for a dive, very well executed. Tower dive there, knocking her right into me to pick up that kill. But then when Olaf runs to pick up the axe, the cooldown is reduced by 4.5 seconds, which is generally enough to pretty much reset the cooldown. It's a 8-second total, and it might take you a second to go get it. So gosh, my last hitting is so bad this game. It's really bothering me. But anyways, so you're mostly cutting down, like pretty much a vast majority of the cooldown when you pick up the axe. This is a very strong ability. I like to get a point in this early, and I think that it is viable to max this first. I also think that there are instances where maxing his E first is better. If you're dealing with more a ranged champion, you kind of want to poke at them, or if you want more wave clear, I would say maxing his Q is best. But it's definitely good. It has high base damage up to 250 at max rank, and very good scaling with 100% of his bonus AD. This makes flat attack damage very strong on Olaf because it scales his Qs very, very well. Attack damage is a very, very good stat on Olaf because of his Undertow. This is a core part of his kit. I think one of the changes they made is they added a minimum throw distance of 400 range. I think melee range is generally 125, if I have that correct. So this is like kind of 3 times that. 400 range, I'm trying to think. That's like a Urgot auto attack, or trying to think of what else is like 400. Like Lyssandra's W is like 400 range, I think, something like that. So it's kind of like halfway between melee and range, like a ranged auto attack. If we're going in for another dive here, going super ham on this Aurelia. Gonna pop all of my abilities, and there's my ult to get the bonus attack damage. Unfortunately, Hecarim took a tower shot too many and fell. So anyway, Olaf's Q, definitely a strong ability for the slow. When they added the minimum distance, that made it a little bit harder to kind of perma-slow. So, which I think is something that Riot believed was a toxic mechanic, so they changed it. I don't know what to think. I think that is a little bit of a nerf from what his axes used to be, kind of in the pre-nerf state, way long ago when he was very, very strong. Having a minimum range does kind of change the way, because not only do you have the minimum range where you can't perma-slow, but if you want to pick continuously slow, you need to go out of your way a little bit to run over and pick up the axe, whereas before you could just kind of throw it at your own feet if they were within melee range. So it kind of does change your damage output. I get jumped on here, and unfortunately I don't have anything up, so I'm just going to die. So pretty overextended, my own fault. But anyways, let's move on to his W, Vicious Strikes. Let's see here. This is an active ability for 8 seconds. Olaf will gain bonus lifesteal and attack speed. Olaf also will gain 101% enhanced healing from all sources for every 2.5% of his missing health. This was buffed so that the level 1 attack speed went up from 20% to 40%, and this has clearly become Olaf's 1-point skill. That has very, very low mana cost, and at rank 1, getting 40% attack speed and 9% lifesteal is very, very powerful. And also that passive component where he gains the bonus healing for his missing health basically means that this is Olaf's key to sustaining. Whenever he gets low on health, synergizes very, very nicely with his passive, where he gains bonus attack speed for missing health, while he also gains bonus lifesteal per missing health with his W up. So whenever you get low, this is a really good ability to throw on and gain some health back. It helps him with duels to stay at high health. It's just a very, very strong part of his kit. Like I said, synergizing nicely with his passive. And it makes, like I said, attack damage and lifesteal items become really good because you're just amplifying that lifesteal So, for example, I'm going for a Ravenous Hydra in this game, started with the Tiamat. It's going to make any sort of the lifesteal that I get from that item just exemplified even better. So overall, I think this is a good skill. It gives him nice sustain. It gives him nice, durability and dueling potential when he gets down to lower health. And it gives him some nice build options with some flat AD/lifesteal items like Bloodthirster or Ravenous Hydra. Personally, Ravenous Hydra is one of my favorite choices on melees, just to give him some really good wave clear and farming tools. So overall, a pretty strong ability, and I like the changes that they made more recently. Next up would be his E, Reckless Health. This is I want to say, it's like a targeted ability, but it's within melee range, is kind of my understanding, but it deals true damage at the cost of health. Which is interesting. And then it also has a mechanic where it will actually you can lower the cooldown of Reckless Swing every time you auto attack. So it's kind of like Master Yi in his Q. I find a whole bunch of people here, but I'm just going to go super ham with my ults up. Going to get one kill and try to escape this Aurelia. I'm going to duel her with my low health and my W. Look at how long I'm sustaining. Wow, I was almost able to pick up that kill right there. Please kill this Aurelia. Good job. I want to watch this one more time because this is kind of a crazy team fight. This was like a really good showcasing of his passive and his W. I kind of get caught out here. Let's just watch this in full spectator. I kind of get caught out, so I'm going to pop my ult to disable any crowd control effects. Here comes my team. Going to hit my E. Going to pick up the kill there. Now going to pop my W and just turn and fight this rally. Look at how low I am, but I'm sustaining myself really nicely. Able to duel her really effectively and stay alive much longer than I probably should have. So overall, that was a nice little bit right there. And even though I got caught out, I kind of baited them into a really good team fight. And I was the only one who died, and they lost 4. So that turned out really good. Actually, they're going to lose 5. So we got the ace. So overall, that was very good for my team. And it just kind of shows you the power of Olaf, specifically with his ultimate and his passive and his W kind of working together to help him survive in situations where a lot of other champions could not. But anyways, to finish up on his Reckless Swing, this is like one of my favorite abilities from Olaf. It deals true damage. I think one of the changes that they made is it actually will scale. I believe that the true damage previously was a pretty good flash right there by York to save his life. I believe the true damage was just a flat amount previously, but they added a scaling component. I think they also maybe lowered the base levels. So like I said, you do kind of need to buy some flat AD items to scale his Reckless Swings to a powerful level. The scaling isn't great. At 40% of your AD, but it's still not bad either. You're talking about true damage. Anytime you have scaling true damage, that's very, very powerful. Because resistances are so effective, if you think about all the major tank items, that's be like Sunfire Cape, Randuin's Omen, Spirit Visage, a lot of these items kind of mix health with resistances, and the only way really to counter true damage is to just buy health, because the point of true damage is that it bypasses resistances. So to have a semi-spammable, they're using my ult again, a semi-spammable true damage ability is really nice. It allows him to duel really well with bruisers in the top lane, and it kind of forces itemization towards health, which isn't such an effective stat against 80 carries or burst mages. So the true damage component is really, really powerful. I like to max this ability first against melee champions that I know I'm going to be scrapping with. If I'm going to be in close, like a Renekton, somebody like that. Aurelia was another good choice. I like to max this ability first because it gives him really, really good dueling potential at close range. And it looks like Hecarim's coming in for a little ganker. Gonna pop my E right there. Auto attack, auto attack. I think I even popped my W. Trying to kite away with attack moving in between auto attacks. And going to pick up another kill on Aurelia. She's just not had a very good game. I am way ahead of her. And if you look, this was actually a very, very key thing. Look at what she's buying. Thornmail, Ninja Tabby, and this is probably going to go towards the Wit's End. These 2 items are a grave mistake. My true damage on my E is going to totally negate this armor. The only thing that her armor is going to touch, it would be my auto attacks and my Q, and that's not even what's really killing her. It's my E is what's chunking her down. So, big time itemization mistake from Aurelia, probably due to just just didn't really understand. Olaf is not a very popular champion. You don't see him a ton. So, I think that's probably just due to just not really understanding what exactly Olaf does. But there's a really nice... Am I going to go ham after this? Most likely, yep, going to pop my ult to get rid of the... what's it even called? I can't believe I'm forgetting this. The exhaust on me, so that I was not slowed, and going to try and get away. Nope, unfortunately, I don't have any more tools at my disposal, and I'm going to go down. So anyways, that's Olaf's E. I really do like this ability. Like I said, true damage is very powerful. Scaling true damage even more powerful. And it makes attack damage a very powerful stat on him. And then last up would be his ultimate, Ragnarok. This is something Olaf is very well known for. He basically gives him crowd control immunity for 6 seconds. It also has a passive component that gives him bonus armor and magic resist. And then the active component removes the bonus armor and magic resist, gives him a ton of attack damage, and then gives him the CC reduction. So this is a really cool ult. It's something I think that is very powerful. CC is like one of the strongest things in the entire game. You know, if you look at a lot of the champions that get banned a lot, especially at lower elos, we're talking about like a Mumu and Malphite. It's because they have these big AoE CC ultimates, and they can just shut down an entire team with crowd control. And with Olaf, Olaf is ideal and even most powerful, most effective against team. They're going to use my ult right there and go super ham, pick up that kill, and try and run away. Not sure if I'm going to have enough juice in the tank. Nope. And I actually... Oh, wait, check that. I do it. Yeah, I dodged the laser. And then, oh, shoot. Hecarim, unfortunately... Now, I want to watch this chase one more time. Because I remember thinking there's no way I'm going to make it out. I'm getting so low. I get ulted by Caitlyn. Lux totally whiffs. But then watch this right here. Hecarim gets the fear and then the knockback on Irelia. And the knockback on Irelia is what actually knocked her into range so that she could dash onto me, I believe, with her Q. So unfortunately, I think my jungler got me killed. But I was laughing at this point. I thought it was pretty hilarious, actually. So not too mad. But anyways, Ragnarok is pretty strong. The bonus AD is really nice too, because you want to use this when you want to go ham is probably the best way to describe it. And so getting that bonus AD is quite nice. One kind of odd thing about this though is that it definitely fits with like his berserker, you know, somebody who's just going to go super ham, run right into the mix and go crazy. It fits his theme, but you know, the losing the bonus armor and magic resist is a bit odd, and it's a bit counterintuitive, specifically because that's generally the time when you want to go, when you need that armor and magic resist the most, is when you're right in the middle of the enemy team, and your CC reduced, so you can just kind of go super ham on them all. Because you don't have the bonus armor and magic resist, you tend to be in a little bit of a weird place, because that's when you want it the most. So a little strange there. It would be kind of nice if you would just keep that bonus armor and magic resist, but I understand that would probably be a bit troublesome. I popped my ult right there just to get rid of the slow, because I wanted to try and chase down York. But then kind of their whole team showed up, so I said no more of this shenanigans. Looks like we are going to go ham on this Taric. This Hecarim and I are kind of doing a ton of work as our Tristana goes bot lane. One thing about Olaf is that he's a very, very independent champion. Makes him very, very good in the top lane because he is so good. I'm going to pop my Ghost, and look at that reckless swing, just totally wrecking that Taric. Now I'm going for Caitlyn. She is going to make it out, but now look at this duel right here with Yorick. I've popped my W and I've got my passive going, and I am no problem dueling this guy. Olaf is very, very powerful at lower HP. Unfortunately, though, Lux is even better because she's got a lot of range. So I do end up falling, but that little duel with the Yorick I thought was really cool, and it displayed definitely how powerful Olaf can be at lower health levels. He can just do so much work at lower health. So yeah, overall that is Olaf's kit. Kite, good kiting there by Trist, good job. That is Olaf's kit. So yeah, I think he's in a good place. I think he maybe could still use a little bit of love and is maybe a little bit undertuned. I think specifically the ultimate, losing the passive component when you activate it is still a little bit contradictory to me, because that would be the ideal time to have that armor and magic resist. Now, there are other champions that get bonus armor and magic resist for free, like Shyvana and Wukong, so I don't really think that it would be too broken. So, but I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest thing with Olaf is that his kit, just the nature of it, is hard to balance. When you give somebody immunity to crowd control, that in and of itself has the potential to be very game breaking, because so much of League of Legends is balanced around crowd control. If you think about champions like Master Yi or Katarina, the only reason that they're balanced is because of the potential for crowd control. Master Yi is generally considered to be very, very weak if you CC him. But if you don't have CC, then he's straight up OP. So, having this ability that can totally remove all sorts of crowd control from your champion, like I said, has the potential to be very, very game-breaking. And so with Olaf, you have this potential for, to totally change the dynamic of team fighting, and it just is a very potentially troublesome mechanic. But overall, his kit is very, very well suited for top lane, I believe. It's still, I also would jungle him. I think he would be a solid jungler with relatively good clears and fairly good ganking with his Qs. But I think his best home is top lane. Just kind of my personal look at his kit. He's got great dueling with his Q and his W and his E and his passive. They all make him a very, very strong duelist. Especially when you get down to lower health, he kind of has that that Jax type play where the longer the duel goes on and the longer the fight goes on, the better he gets. Jax is because he gets that scaling attack speed, but with Olaf, it's because he gains scaling attack speed, the lower health he gets. So, like I said, the lower he gets, the more dangerous he is. I also think that Olaf is a potentially extremely powerful split pusher, akin to a Tryndamere. This change kind of puts him in line with some of the other melee carries, like Tryndamere and Master Yi, because he still does rely quite a bit on his auto attacks for his damage. He's got a great steroid with his passive and his W. It gives him a ton of free attack speed. Gonna just steal that. Oh, not quite able to steal that kill, unfortunately. Going to pop all over this Caitlyn. Like this Caitlyn has absolutely nothing that she can do right now. I am all over her and gonna throw out a Q. Oh, I missed the axe actually, and gonna let her go. Unfortunately, gonna go and try and peel for my Tristana. Pop the E right there for that kill. Now I'm going after this Yorick. I believe Triss can handle herself against Taric. So Yorick is my next target there, landing a nice Q, popping my E, and getting the kill, actually allowing Kennen to get the kill. I'm going to go ahead and attack his clone just because I think I've got the sustain, and I did not want Kennen to die. So just going to go ahead and take out the Yorick clone right there. And so yeah, overall I do think that Olaf's kit is strong. I think itemization is a little bit interesting on Olaf now, because, like I said, he's a little bit of a mix between an AD caster and an AD melee carry. His damage is mixed between his auto attacks and his abilities. If you look at other champions like this, they're a little bit more clear-cut. Like a Tryndamere is all auto attack all the time, or contrast that with like a Renekton, who is more based on his abilities. He does damage with his auto attacks, but his abilities are really what make him scary. And Olaf is somewhere in between. He's got his Q and his E, which are abilities that do good damage, but then his passive and his W deal a lot of auto attack damage. So he's somewhere in the mix. But I think especially if you can get some early attack, maybe 1 or 2 AD items. Went probably a little bit too hammered there and got picked off. And I actually think Hecarim kind of picked a bad fight right there. Not really sure if that was... And Tristana got picked off before me as well. So that was probably the main problem, because Tristana has a lot of our damage right now. So anyways, like I said, it kind of leaves Olaf in a bit of a place where his itemization is a little strange, because I do think that a big lifesteal AD item is perfect for your first item, specifically Hydra, or maybe... I think you could also make an argument for Blade of the Rune King, because he is a good duelist, and Blade of the Rune King is the best duelist item. I think an argument could be made for Blade of the Rune King, but I personally think he gets a lot of attack speed for free, so getting a big AD item like Hydra or Bloodthirster I think is a better choice. And I really like Hydra for the wave clear and the farming potential, so that's kind of the item I've really gone to as your first big buy on Olaf. From there, I tend to go for a defensive item or two. Sunfire Cape against ADs and Spirit Visage against APs. Both of those items are really, really good with Olaf. He wants to be in close to get that burn, and he also has the self-healing from his W to amplify with the Spirit Visage passive. Cooldown reduction is also not a bad stat on Olaf at all. You know, then your axis and your E becomes almost spammable because you've got CDR and you've got the natural cooldown reset in the mechanics of those abilities. Just because with your Q you can pick up your axe, with your E you can auto attack to reduce the cooldown. So CDR is a good stat on him. I also really like Randuin's is a really good armor choice. You could also go for, you know, if you could even get a second damage item. I think a lot of bruisers generally go one damage item and then follow that up with more, as we go in for this Caitlyn, she's going to get wrecked. I'm going to make sure that, actually Tristis, I think 2 damage items on Olaf would be perfect because he does have the capability of putting out a lot of damage. So you could do, you know, Hydra and Blade of the Ruined King for a lot of lifesteal, just really to amplify his dueling potential, to amplify his lifesteal, you know, just even make him more dangerous at lower health levels. And watch this Lux, she just gets totally out of position. And I think I actually hit my E onto a minion there. Unfortunately, would have probably got me that kill. So 2 AD items. You could also even consider like some armor pen with a Black Cleaver or maybe a Last Whisper for his Qs and his auto attacks. I don't think that would be perfect because his Reckless Things does true damage. But Black Cleaver has its place, I think, on Olaf. But I do think that finding the mix between, because you need to buy some tanky items. You can't go pure melee carry, you know, with like the Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper type stuff that you could buy on an AD carry. Or on a Tryndamere, you know, like Static Shiv, Bork, stuff like that. Static Shiv, Bork, Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, you know, that's 4 big AD items. I think with Olaf, you're probably going to want 2 damage items and then 3 defensive items. And so that'll kind of help keep you safe enough to survive in the middle of the battle, because really the only way to deal with Olaf is just to kill him, because you can't really CC him. You can't really escape from him. You just have to kill him. So being tanky enough to survive, but being dangerous enough to deal damage, I think, is you got to kind of find the perfect balance there. I also picked up a Frozen Mallet this game. I think Frozen Mallet works well with him because, you know, even though you no longer have the permaslow from your Q, you kind of make up for that a little bit with the permaslow on your Frozen Mallet, and just you can see how much Aurelia is struggling here. With I'm auto attacking her constantly, and she's just permanently slowed. Not able to get to Tristana like she maybe would have wanted. Nice stun right there from Kennen, and now Lux is the one who's going to be slowed. Frozen Mallet is in a bit of a interesting place. They changed the phage component. I think in general it's kind of a disfavored item. I think a lot of people wonder why would you buy Frozen Mallet when you could buy Randuin's, but I think the extra utility is useful on Olaf just to make sure that he sticks to targets. You know, he's definitely weak to being kited. He doesn't have any sort of gap closer. He doesn't really even have like a speed boost. So he is weak to being kited, so you have to slow them to keep them to stay on top of you. But anyways, that is my why buy on Olaf. I definitely think he is a solid champion. I think that the jury is still out on whether or not Riot will finish tweaking him. But I do think he's in a pretty strong place. He's a good duelist, he's a good split pusher, and he works really well against teams with a lot of crowd control, which tend to really wreck in solo queue. So if you take all those factors into consideration, I definitely think he can have a lot of success. Vulnerable to being kited. Also kind of has some interesting itemization choices that aren't necessarily clear-cut. I think we will see, you know, kind of the optimal build path continue to evolve as Olaf continues to, as people settle into his kit. You know, we'll see kind of, I'd like to see him in pro play, like to see how those guys decide to build him, but overall, I think they made some good changes to him. Obviously, leaving him in the place that he was at before was not the correct choice, but kind of bringing him up to snuff was good, and I think he's a fun champ, and I will continue to play him in top lane and possibly jungle as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section below if you've tried the new Olaf and what your thoughts are, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.